Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. You know, today would normally be a garden tour, and what I did was I had some errands to run and I stopped at a nursery because, to be honest, to tell you, I'm not working yet on the dog run because I'm waiting, and I'll show you why I'm waiting. And I'm now home, so now you can see why it's a good thing I'm waiting. But I will say a lot of the stuff I planted, you know, like the potatoes, they're just starting to come up, some of them. What's going on in the garden is a lot of this is just holding its own, but there's nothing growing, and nothing, well, I shouldn't say that because I just found out my peppers are growing here, which is amazing. These have been sitting here all winter and they're just starting to grow. But let me show you the nursery and why it's better that we think about what we want to plant this year. All in all, like I said, the garden is exactly like it was 2 weeks ago because all I'm doing is maintaining. I just went through, I filled the fountains, and I went through some of the totes, and I'm going to water some more of these. Let me turn you around and show you. See, everything's the same. I've got a lot of milkweed coming up in here, and it's just basically what the garden's doing is holding its own. And I can do a lot of cuttings, and boy, am I going to do cuttings this year and propagating a lot, because this is propagated. These pepinos were propagated over from that one. That's the old one that's been there for a couple years now. And look at how the new one, just a piece off of that one, is doing far better. My pizza garden is barely hanging on. My rosemary's doing good. The oregano is still growing. Of course, all the basil is gone. And what I really need to do is grab a lot of the seeds so I can start my own basil. My sage is still growing, both of them, the tricolored and the green. And my thyme, boy, do I need more thyme, is actually making a comeback. So I think I'm going to cut it back and freshen up the soil in there. The peppers look sad, but I'm not worried about that because I can trim all the leaves, trim it back, get more of the red peppers off. And look at the water. And you know what's really bad? We have another storm that's going to move in here within a day or two. And it's another big one, they're saying. So that's why it's just not worth it. Everything is underwater. We go through and we tip, and then we got to tip again. Nothing has changed in the chair garden, though it's still standing, doing good. I haven't even gotten to the truck bed or the wall. I'm going to concentrate on getting some seeds going. That would be the right thing to do. Let me walk through here. The bird garden, since I have a lot of brassicas in here, and you know how I'm doing my brassicas everywhere, this has got a lot of powdery mildew, but of course we keep the seeds. It's still green. The papayas are struggling now, but I still have papayas on there. See, they're still starting to flower, and there's still papayas. And this has been doing great. It's really happy. And in fact, I'm going to take a lot of that off for dinner tonight. This is the hybrid that I grew, but see, a lot of it is really needs to be thinned down. This plant, this tall one, that's a tree collard, a green one, it's got to go. And I've got to do more cuttings all the way the length. And I'll probably start that in the next week or two. But it looks the same. Now this is exciting. I was going to take it out and start thinking about what I want to plant, but this is probably going to be spray millet. So I'm going to leave that for the birds. But all the other stuff that I put in there, remember I went through months ago with the auger and put tree color, they're all starting to pop up all along there. They set root and they're doing really, really well. So let me show you what my outing was, because I just got home. And why I think a lot of us are going to be shocked. And maybe you already knew, but oh boy, I looked at a lot of that stuff and went, holy moly, I think I need to plant some extra seeds. So I stopped at the nursery, and it's really skimpy right now because we've got another storm coming in. We're still in winter, and so they haven't gotten in the new plants. But as you know, I'll show you what was going on here. And that gives me the signal, if they're not ready to buy, then I'm not ready to plant. And I might just continue on slowly going with my seeds. And I think that would be the way to go, because we're still in February, and so it's going to be a while. And why buy something that may not make it? And I can propagate a lot of my own geraniums and even my roses. I'm doing hibiscus right now. So let me show you, take you a spin for around here, and you'll see what's going on. So this is what I saw today. Now they've got a lot of new lettuce they got in. Look at the price, $8. Carrots, $8, $7.99. I mean, they're beautiful. I can't put them down for that. They're gorgeous, but that's a lot of money. You know, I grow my own lettuce. And then cauliflower, $8. And these are like 6-packs, 4-packs. And a lot of these didn't look that good. Look at the vegetables, 6-packs. They're going to be $7.99 this year. Then they've got some peppers. I think they're single containers for $4.99. Their herbs weren't bad. I almost thought about getting a new thyme, but I think I'm going to wait. There's some artichoke there in the back. The thyme was not a bad price, but you know, I'm not really ready to plant yet. I think I'm going to go more in the seeds. Milkweed. I've told you I grow a ton of milkweed, and I'm going to start putting it in containers and giving it away to people in my area because they've been needing a lot of milkweed, and those are expensive. But I thought I'd kind of walk you through and kind of go slow. $50 for rose bushes. And let me tell you something, I propagate roses. It is the easiest thing. Just like I do my collards, you can do roses that way. I just thought you may want to see this. It's not a big nursery. They've kind of downsized. They used to be a really big one, and then they've got all this. I don't know if they were half price. I didn't ask. A lot of times when they put them out like that, they are, but I wasn't even ready to pay that today. And they've got some more plants here. So I thought you might get a kick out of walking through and seeing exactly what we saw. Gary actually went back to the car. He zipped through really quick. I really went for flowers, but they really didn't have anything I wanted. And I can see they're not bringing in a lot. Now, soil is going to be high. They sell better soil. You know, I don't even think they have any Miracle Grow here, but the soil isn't cheap. So here's more flowers that they had. And I mean, if they were half price, you could bring a lot of that stuff back. I got my lemon verbena from them years ago, half price in the winter, and they did beautiful. Look at carnations. I love carnations. And then the ivy geraniums, we grow that all over. If you buy one plant, you've got it forever. You can propagate off of that. Basically, if it breaks and falls, it grows. Look at that. $7.99. Can you imagine just a few years ago, it was like $3.99? They've doubled in price pretty much. And then we can just walk through again and take a last look. Now, I'm sure in about a month they'll get a whole lot more things in. But, you know, you can go to the big box stores and they carry vegetables even in the winter, and you know they're not going to grow. They came out of big greenhouses. You bring them home. Isn't that gorgeous? And they're not going to grow. And the thing is, the ones in the store have been pumped with all kinds of chemicals and fertilizers. Some of them even have warnings that you're not supposed to eat them right away. You check the containers that they're growing in. And I'm going to tell you something. This got me motivated to start thinking about, well, you know how I propagate all my own tomato plants. Well, I'm going to propagate a whole lot more. I'm going to get more seeds growing. I'm not saying I'm not going to buy starts. I probably will. But we are really successful with seeds, and they're so easy to grow. I grow them in pencil boxes. I grow them in little flower pots we buy real cheap. I grow them in trays, food containers. And I think this is really going to get me motivated to try another little greenhouse I'm thinking of doing that's so cheap and fun, and get a lot of plants growing now. Because the starts from the big box store are simply probably going to fizzle out before it's time to grow. And I think, you know, it's just not worth it. And if you buy them now, well, it's just, you're going to put them out in the ground and you know what's going to happen. So it's not worth it at that point. And this is good to look around at a small time nursery, because they're really, you know, it's tough for them to compete with the big box stores. And so they're going to bring it in at the right time. More geraniums. These look like they were about $39. I think they were $39, but keep in mind, you can grow a ton of geraniums once you start. There's that lettuce again. I might start some red lettuce soon, but the romaine lettuce, I've got that all over. But carrots, usually you kind of direct sow them, even though I have put them in the paper towels and started them that way so they're nicely spaced. But a lot of times I start them in totes and pull them out when they're babies like that and move them, and they're fine. So they're a little crooked. They still taste good. Look at that, $49 for flowers. Plants are really going up. You know, the problem is, in Southern California, rent is high. So when rent goes up, everything else goes up. So that's basically it. But it gives me a signal that if they're not ready to invest in plants at this point, new plants, then I'm not ready to take the time to buy it and bring them home and baby them. Because in another month here, I won't have to baby them. And then they had strawberries. Now you can get the bare root ones, you can order those online, but I really didn't see any types of strawberries that I wanted to buy. I have some varieties that I think I'm going to stick with, and that's going to be it. So we'll talk about that when we get into strawberries, but this is what they had. Even their flowers look sad. I've got marigolds growing all over here that just seeds that dropped, and I moved the baby plants. So keep that, in mind when you're growing. If you see little plants coming up on your plants, move them. You get a free plant that way. But I've got marigolds growing now, so they really are cold tolerant. So it's been really good to know. But look at the price. Lavender. Gary got a bunch of lavender. Somebody gave it to him. It was a gardener. He was working, or a landscaper, and he said he had a lot of extra. So he pulled it out when Gary had stopped somewhere, and he gave him a lot. So Gary's got that. But that's the prices here in Southern California. Oh, I love violas. Look how cute. Again, I'm not ready right now. I think I'm going to try more seeds this year on a lot of stuff. I mean, I've done zinnias so good. I've got zinnias all over, and they're just starting to show, life. But really, the marigolds here are the big ones that are taking off. Sweet pea shrub, $49.99. A little bit too high for my pocketbook, but it's not really what I'm looking for. I hope you enjoyed this instead of a garden tour, because this was a special treat for me too, and it gives me ideas. So I thought I'd just show you what we did today. Kind of did a quick stop here. I think I'm going to wait a little while longer. I mean, there are some interesting things, but why not wait? Let's get through the next storm. They're calling it a really big rainfalls coming in. I don't know if it's going to be cold, but if they've, this is a signal to me that if they're not ready to stock up, then I'm not ready to put the money out. If you've noticed, the prices have gone way up. I mean, lettuce for $8, that's unreal. I grow tons of lettuce. So I am going to concentrate a little bit more on seeds, though I will get starts when we get closer to the time for planting. So this is a good wake-up call that let's get some seeds started when the time is right, and then come in at the right time when it's time to start really planting, so I don't lose the plants, because right now they'd be struggling for me to keep them alive, and it's not worth it. So with that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. So I know a lot of you hung out with me live as I built this, and I told you I would get you some clips if they used it. I just made this. The second I put it out, they started using it. I love this. You imagine you buy yourself some candy and you end up with a bird fountain. So if you're interested in making bird fountains, go check out the live feed, because I loaded it with tips on building bird fountains.